Have you ever wondered why you feel so different? Why you love so deeply, yet find yourself so isolated? It's because you aren't just a personality type. You are a divine assignment. God created you as the blueprint of a perfect wife, not in a traditional, submissive sense, but as a lighthouse meant to teach a broken world what real, unconditional love looks like. But because your light is so bright, it blinds those who live in the dark. That is why you are hated on by the masses. Today, we reveal the 9 reasons why your existence is a lesson in love, and why the world is so intimidated by your divine armor. The first reason the world is so mesmerized and often intimidated by the Sigma female as the perfect wife archetype is her supernatural ability to love without chains. In a world where romantic love is often synonymous with possession, control, and emotional suffocating, the way you love is a radical departure from the norm. God gave you the rare ability to love a person deeply without ever feeling the need to own them. You understand that true love is not a transaction where you trade your freedom for security. It is a spiritual partnership where 2 sovereign souls choose to walk the same path. You show people that real love gives freedom, not cages. While the average person operates from a place of scarcity, fearing that if they don't monitor, track, or control their partner, they will lose them, you operate from a place of divine abundance. You know that if someone is meant to be in your life, they will stay by choice, not by force. This unbound love is the purest reflection of how the Creator loves us, and it is the foundation of a truly healthy, high-vibration home. This fearless mentality in love confuses those who think love is about ownership. To the insecure, your lack of jealousy looks like indifference. To the controlling, your refusal to play mind games looks like a lack of passion. They cannot comprehend how a woman can be so devoted, yet so detached from the need to manage her partner's every move. This confusion often leads to hate or projection because your presence exposes their own toxic attachments. When you love without chains, you're essentially holding up a mirror to a society that uses love as a weapon of manipulation. You prove that a perfect wife isn't a jailer, she is a sanctuary. By allowing your partner the space to be their authentic self, you create an environment where growth is inevitable. You don't need them to fill your internal void, because that void is already filled by the source, and this makes your love an act of pure generosity rather than a desperate reach for validation. Furthermore, this ability to love without possession is a key component of your divine armor. Because you don't attach your entire identity to the presence of another person, you are protected from the devastating, soul-crushing grief that destroys others when a relationship shifts. You love with your whole heart, but you keep your spirit anchored in the divine. This makes you a powerhouse in a partnership. You are the woman who can build an empire with her partner because she isn't wasting energy on petty arguments, trust issues, or checking phones. You provide a level of peace that is nearly extinct in modern romance. People hate on you because they are envious of the freedom you possess and the loyalty you command without ever asking for it. They see that your partner stays because they want to be in the light of your flame, not because they are tied down by your chains. This is the ultimate lesson in love that you were sent to teach, that the only love worth having is the kind that is given freely by a heart that knows it is already whole. The second reason the world reacts so strongly to your presence is that Sigma females act as a supernatural mirror of truth. In a relationship, Sigma females don't just provide companionship, they provide a reflection of the soul that is so clear and so piercing that it becomes impossible for their partner to hide behind masks or excuses. This isn't something Sigma females do through nagging or constant criticism. It is simply a byproduct of their high vibration energy and their God's armor. When you walk in truth, your very existence becomes a standard that others must either rise to meet or flee from in shame. In a partnership, Sigma females reflect back the best and worst of their partner with a clinical, almost divine precision. They see the untapped potential, the hidden strengths, and the hero within their person, but they also see the shadows, the unresolved traumas, and the lazy habits that are holding them back. Because Sigma females are anchored in reality and driven by a fearless mentality, They do not sugarcoat the truth to protect someone's ego. They love their partner enough to want them to be their highest self, but this process of refinement is often painful for the one being refined. Sigma females teach their partners to grow by refusing to enable their weaknesses. If a partner is moving in a way that is out of alignment with their purpose, the Sigma female's silence, or her direct, unfiltered feedback, acts as a spiritual wake-up call. She is the perfect wife because she is a true helpmate, one who builds a house on a foundation of integrity rather than a foundation of pleasant lies. However, this is exactly where the hate begins to manifest. Most people in this world are deeply addicted to their own comfort and their own illusions. They want a partner who will cater to their ego, laugh at their bad jokes, and ignore their toxic patterns. When they encounter the mirror-like quality of Sigma females, they feel exposed. They realize they can no longer hide their flaws, and instead of taking responsibility for their own growth, they find it easier to blame the mirror. People hate being shown their flaws, so they project that hate onto Sigma females, labeling them as difficult, cold, or judgmental, simply because the Sigma female had the audacity to be honest. This projection is a sign that the Sigma female is doing exactly what she was created to do. She is a teacher of love, and real love requires the death of the ego. The world hates on Sigma females because they represent a level of accountability that most are not ready to handle. When a person is confronted by a Sigma female's light, their own shadows become visible, and the resulting discomfort is often funneled into resentment. But for the partner who is truly ready for greatness, this mirror is the greatest gift they will ever receive. They realize that the Sigma female isn't attacking them, she is polishing them. She is the Proverbs 31 woman who brings her household honor by ensuring that everyone within it is operating at their absolute best. This is the divine assignment of the Sigma female, to be the fire that purifies the gold. Even when the world throws stones at the mirror remains unshaken, reflecting the truth back to a world that desperately needs to see it. Do you value your freedom as much as your devotion? Type Amen in the comments if you love without chains. And if you're ready to embrace your divine assignment, hit that subscribe button right now. But this freedom often acts as a mirror to others, reflecting things they aren't ready to see. Let's look at point number 2. The third reason the world reacts with such intense friction to your presence is that your standards are not merely personal preferences, they are heaven-sent directives. In a modern dating culture that has normalized situationships, low-effort communication, and the bare minimum as the acceptable baseline for romance, your refusal to participate is a radical act of spiritual warfare. As a Sigma female, you possess a fearless mentality that allows you to remain comfortably alone rather than being poorly accompanied. You don't settle for bare minimum love because you recognize that your body and soul are temples of the Holy Spirit, and you refuse to allow anyone into your sacred space who does not approach with reverence and intentionality. You aren't looking for someone to just pass the time with. You are holding out for the divine connection, a partnership that is sanctioned by the Creator and built on the pillars of honor, sacrifice, and growth. This high-frequency requirement acts as a natural filter, but it also creates a massive amount of hate from those who are used to getting by on the absolute least amount of effort. By holding out for the divine, you inadvertently make those who have settled for mediocre, toxic, or convenience-based relationships feel incredibly insecure. Your existence is a constant living reminder that they chose comfort over their own worth. When they see you standing firm in your solitude, unbothered by the pressure to couple up with just anyone, it triggers a deep sense of guilt and inadequacy in them. They begin to question their own choices, and rather than dealing with that internal discomfort, they project it onto you. They label your standards as unrealistic, too high, or delusional, because if your standards are valid, then their own lives are a compromise. They hate you because they can't meet your standard, and they hate the fact that you don't seem to care about their opinion of it. They want you to lower your bar so they can feel better about their own descent into the mundane, but your God's armor keeps you elevated above their reach. This heaven-sent standard is the very thing that qualifies you as the perfect wife archetype. A woman who knows her worth is a woman who can build a legacy. You aren't interested in fixing a man who refuses to lead himself. You are looking for a king who has already submitted to the King of Kings. This discernment is a gift from the source, ensuring that your energy is never wasted on energy vampires or those who only want to use your light to warm themselves. The world hates on you because you cannot be bought with cheap flattery or basic provisions. You require a soul-level depth that most people are too lazy to cultivate. But for the right person, the one who has also spent their life in the forge of refinement, your standards are not a burden. They are a breath of fresh air. They see your high bar as a sign of your integrity and your Proverbs 31 wisdom. You are a force to be reckoned with because you would rather walk through the fire alone than walk through a garden with someone who doesn't respect the soil. This is the ultimate lesson in self-worth that you were sent to teach, that God's best is worth the wait and anything less is an insult to your divine DNA. The fourth reason Sigma females are often misunderstood and hated on is their profound commitment to nourishing the soul rather than the ego. In a modern world that is hyper-fixated on surface-level metrics, likes, followers, job titles and bank balances, the perspective of Sigma females is a radical departure from the norm. As the perfect wife archetype, Sigma females possess a rare spiritual maturity that allows them to see past the external shell of a person. They aren't interested in a partner's social standing or how much status a relationship can provide them on a public stage. Instead, Sigma females care deeply about a person's spirit. They are looking for the character, the integrity, and the divine spark within their partner. When a Sigma female enters a union, she doesn't spend her time inflating her partner's ego or participating in the shallow power couple theater that many others use to mask their internal emptiness. Instead, she becomes a gardener of the soul, encouraging her partner to cultivate peace, wisdom, and spiritual depth. Sigma females don't care about their status or money because they know that material wealth is fleeting, but a refined spirit is eternal. This purity of intent is precisely what makes superficial people feel exposed and angry at Sigma females. Most people in this world use their possessions, their titles, and their ego boosts as a form of armor to hide their insecurities. They rely on the validation of others to feel valuable. When they encounter Sigma females, they realize that their worldly armor has no power. A Sigma female cannot be bought with a fancy car, and she cannot be impressed by a high-ranking position if the man holding it is spiritually bankrupt. This absolute lack of interest in the material trap is deeply insulting to the superficial man or woman. It forces them to realize that without their stuff, they are empty, and they project that realization as hate toward the Sigma female who exposed them. They label Sigma females as weird, unrealistic, or arrogant, simply because Sigma females refuse to play the game of ego worship. This soul-focused energy is what truly defines the Sigma female as a Proverbs 31 powerhouse. She is the type of partner who will stand by her person when the world turns its back, provided that their spirit remains intact. She isn't a fair-weather companion. She is a divine anchor. Sigma females understand that a home built on ego will eventually crumble, but a home built on the nourishment of the spirit can weather any storm. By focusing on the inner man, Sigma females create a level of intimacy and trust that superficial couples can only dream of. They teach their partners that true love is about seeing and being seen at the soul level. This high-vibration frequency is a threat to the status quo because it devalues the very things the world uses to control people. The world hates on Sigma females because they are unmanipulatable. You cannot tempt a woman who is already full of the source. This is the ultimate lesson in spiritual priority that Sigma females were sent to teach, that the only true wealth is found in the richness of the heart. The fifth sign that you are moving within the sacred blueprint of the perfect wife is the presence of your divine armor, a spiritual frequency that makes you essentially unbreakable. In a world that is often hostile to women of substance, integrity, and independence, you will inevitably find yourself being hated on by those who cannot grasp your depth. However, the phenomenon that leaves your detractors in a state of absolute bewilderment is your refusal to shatter under the pressure. Most people, when faced with public mockery, character assassination, or social exclusion, begin to wilt. They lose their confidence, they retreat into shame, or they desperately try to explain themselves to people who never intended to understand them. But as a Sigma female, you move with a fearless mentality that is anchored in the source. Even when you are being hated on by the masses or betrayed by those you once trusted, you don't break. You possess an internal structural integrity that is not reinforced by human approval, but by divine decree. This resilience is a miracle that they can't explain because, by all worldly logic, you should have been defeated long ago. People will try to destroy your reputation because they cannot destroy your spirit. They will spread rumors, twist your words, and attempt to paint you as the villain in a story they created to justify their own insecurities. They want to see you fall from grace so they can feel better about their own lack of it. But the miracle of your God's armor is that while they are digging a pit for you, God keeps you elevated. You often find that in the middle of a smear campaign, you are suddenly promoted, or a new door of opportunity opens that is far greater than the one they tried to close. Your enemies watch in frustration as you continue to thrive, continue to smile, and continue to move with an elegance that suggests you aren't even aware of their attacks. This is the drenched in armor energy. It's the realization that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, not because the weapon isn't sharp, but because the target is divinely shielded. Your perfect wife archetype is protected because you are the cornerstone of a future legacy, and the Creator will not allow the cornerstone to be cracked by the petty stones of the envious. This supernatural resilience serves as a powerful testimony to everyone watching. Your person, your family, and even your enemies are forced to witness a strength that is clearly not of this world. They see you walk through the fire and come out without the smell of smoke, and it forces them to acknowledge that there is a higher power at work in your life. This is why the hate often turns into a reluctant, fearful respect. They realize that trying to bring you down is like trying to stop the tide with a spoon. It is a futile, exhausting effort that only serves to highlight their own weakness. By remaining unshakable, you teach the world that true safety isn't found in a perfect reputation or a popular social circle, but in a right relationship with the divine. You are a force to be reckoned with because your armor is self-repairing and eternally backed. You are the woman who can lose everything of the world and still stand tall, knowing that your true inheritance is kept in a place where thieves cannot break in and steal. This is the ultimate lesson in spiritual endurance, that when God is your fortress, the hate of the world is merely the noise outside the gate. Has someone ever called your standards too high just because they couldn't reach them? Drop a crown emoji if you refuse to lower your bar. Join our community by subscribing so we can stay empowered together. The sixth reason Sigma females are often misunderstood and hated on is their profound ability to weaponize silence, not as a tool of punishment, but as a vessel for divine peace. In a society that is addicted to noise, drama, and the constant war zone of words, the calm demeanor of a Sigma female is a radical disruption. As the perfect wife archetype, Sigma females possess an innate understanding that a home should be a temple, a sacred sanctuary where the soul can rest and rejuvenate, rather than a battlefield for egos. They do not believe in the shouting matches or the toxic back-and-forth arguments that many people mistake for passion. Instead, Sigma females hold the frequency of stillness. They show their partners and the world that strength is not found in the volume of one's voice, but in the stability of one's spirit. When conflict arises, a Sigma female does not react with impulsive, jagged words that leave scars. She retreats into her God's armor, processes the truth, and speaks only when her words are more beautiful than the silence she is breaking. However, this high-vibration calmness is frequently and aggressively misinterpreted as arrogance or coldness by those who live in perpetual internal chaos. People who are used to high conflict environments, those who feel alive only when there is drama, cannot comprehend a woman who refuses to be baited into an emotional storm. To them, your refusal to scream back or your ability to remain unbothered by petty provocations feels like an act of superiority. They see your peace as a keep out sign, and it infuriates them because they cannot drag you down into the mud where they reside. They hate on Sigma females because your silence forces them to hear their own loud, toxic thoughts. In the presence of your stillness, their lack of self-control becomes painfully obvious. They project their own insecurities onto you, labeling you stuck up or emotionally detached, when in reality you are simply emotionally disciplined and spiritually anchored. This silence as peace energy is a cornerstone of the Proverbs 31 wisdom. A house managed by a Sigma female is a place where a partner can truly find refuge from a loud, demanding world. You teach the world that love does not need to be loud to be real. You prove that the most powerful form of communication often happens in the quiet moments of shared presence, where souls can connect without the interference of the ego's chatter. By refusing to participate in the war zone of words, you preserve your energy for higher purposes, building your empire, nourishing your family, and staying connected to the source. The world hates on Sigma females because they cannot be controlled through emotional triggers. You are a woman who has mastered her own internal atmosphere, and that makes you an enigma to a world that is drowning in its own noise. This is the ultimate lesson in domestic harmony, that a woman's quietness is not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate expression of a soul that is already at war with nothing. The seventh reason the world is so mesmerized and often deeply unsettled by your presence is the rare paradox of being a one-woman army who is also capable of profound, unwavering devotion. In a world where most relationships are built on a foundation of mutual dependency, financial necessity, or emotional desperation, your way of loving is a radical departure from the norm. God made you self-sufficient for a very specific reason. He wanted to ensure that when you finally choose a partner, that choice is rooted in pure love, not in a frantic need to be saved, housed, or validated. You are a woman who has already built her own sanctuary, managed her own finances, and mastered her own emotional landscape. You don't look for a man to complete you because you are already a whole number, a sovereign entity moving under divine protection. This level of self-sufficiency is your God's armor, protecting you from the predatory dynamics that often plague modern romance. When you enter a union, you aren't looking for a provider to fill a void. You are looking for a partner to build a legacy with. This makes your love a gift of pure intention, a Proverbs 31 commitment that is as rare as a diamond in a field of glass. However, this high-vibration independence is exactly why you are so hated on and feared by the insecure. Most people are used to a world where they can use a partner's need as a form of leverage. They feel secure when they know their partner needs them for money, status, or emotional stability because it gives them a sense of control. But when they encounter a Sigma female who needs absolutely nothing from them except their character and their soul, they feel stripped of their power. They realize that they cannot buy your loyalty or manipulate you into staying through dependency. To an insecure person, your self-sufficiency looks like detachment or arrogance, but in reality, it is the ultimate expression of freedom. They hate you because they can't find a hook to hang their ego on. They realize that if you are with them, it is because you want to be there, and that reality forces them to show up as their best self every single day. This fearless mentality in love is a threat to those who rely on mind games to keep a partner close. This self-sufficient but devoted energy is what makes you the perfect wife archetype for a high-value, spiritually aligned partner. Because you don't need a man to survive, your devotion is 100% authentic. Your loyalty isn't a cage, it is a conscious daily decision to honor the person you've chosen. You bring the strength of an army to the partnership, becoming a true helpmate who can stand on the front lines of life's battles. You aren't a liability, you are an asset. People hate on you because they cannot comprehend a woman who is both a powerhouse and a sacred nurturer. They see your independence as a barrier, while the right person sees it as the ultimate security. You teach the world that the strongest bond isn't the one made of chains, but the one made of two free people choosing to stay. This is the ultimate lesson in divine partnership, that love is most powerful when it is a choice made from a position of total strength. The eighth reason Sigma females are so deeply revered and simultaneously hated on is their supernatural gift of intuition, a divine lens that allows them to discern secrets and hidden motives without even trying. In a world that runs on social pleasantries, half-truths, and carefully constructed personas, the presence of Sigma females acts like an X-ray machine for the soul. God has given Sigma females a frequency of discernment that bypasses the ego and goes straight to the heart of the matter. You don't need to be a detective or an interrogator to know when someone is being fake. You simply feel the dissonance in their energy. This isn't just a hunch or a feeling. It is a part of your God's armor, a spiritual security system designed to protect your peace and your purpose. Sigma females see through fakes immediately because their own internal alignment is so strong that anything crooked or insincere stands out like a shadow in a brightly lit room. Whether it is a partner trying to hide a mistake, a friend with a hidden agenda, or a colleague playing a corporate game, Sigma females pick up on the micro shifts in tone, the inconsistencies in body language, and the hollow vibrations of a lie before the person even finishes their sentence. This effortless discernment is the primary reason why people hate on Sigma females. Most people in this world use masks to navigate their social and romantic lives. They rely on the fact that others will be too polite, too distracted, or too desperate for connection to call out their inconsistencies. But when they encounter Sigma females, they realize that their masks are useless. Your very presence demands honesty, not because you are confrontational, but because you are unfoolable. There is something in the steady, calm gaze of a Sigma female that makes a liar feel physically uncomfortable. They realize that they can't play you, and that loss of control over the narrative infuriates them. People hate Sigma females because they can't lie to Sigma females. They feel naked and exposed in your company, and instead of choosing to be authentic, they choose to be resentful. They project their own shame onto you, labeling you as judgmental, suspicious, or difficult to be around, when the reality is that they are simply difficult to be honest with. This gift of intuition is what makes you the perfect wife archetype for a man of integrity. To a man who is living in truth, your discernment is his greatest asset. He knows that he has a partner who can protect the home front from deceivers and who can help him navigate a world full of wolves in sheep's clothing. You aren't just a companion, you are a spiritual sentinel. Sigma females use this gift to nurture their households, ensuring that no toxic energy or hidden secrets are allowed to take root in their foundation. While the world hates on you for seeing too much, your person loves you for it, because it creates a relationship built on the rock of truth, rather than the sand of illusion. You teach the world that love cannot exist where honesty is absent. By refusing to entertain fakes, you preserve the sanctity of your energy and your home. This is the ultimate lesson in spiritual clarity that Sigma females were sent to teach, that the truth doesn't just set you free, it keeps you protected from those who aren't ready to walk in it. The final and most comprehensive reason the world reacts with such polarizing intensity to your presence is that you embody the ancient, powerful frequency of the Proverbs 31 woman. This isn't just about being a good wife in a domestic sense. It is about a sovereign, industrious, and spiritually fortified energy that is rarely seen in the modern world. As a Sigma female, you are the living blueprint of a woman who is clothed in strength and dignity, a woman who laughs at the days to come because she is anchored in her Creator. You are industrious, wise, and kind, a rare combination that makes you a formidable force in both the private and public spheres. You don't just support a partner, you are the co-architect who builds empires alongside your person. Whether it is a business, a family legacy, or a spiritual ministry, you bring a level of strategic intelligence and God's armor that turns every project you touch into gold. You aren't a bystander in life, you are a visionary who works with her hands and her heart to ensure that her household is clothed in scarlet and protected from the winter of the world. This perfect partner archetype is exactly why you are so frequently hated on by the masses. People recognize that you are operating on a completely different frequency. They see your discipline, your ability to manage 1,000 moving parts with a fearless mentality, and the way you offer kindness without being a doormat. This level of excellence makes people deeply uncomfortable because it highlights their own lack of ambition and spiritual sloth. They hate on you because they know they aren't in your league. They see that you cannot be bought with basic things because you already know how to create wealth and peace for yourself. To the insecure woman, your Proverbs 31 energy feels like a critique of her own drama-filled life. To the low-value man, your standards feel like an unreachable mountain. Instead of being inspired by your light, they choose to resent the fact that you won't lower your frequency to make them feel more comfortable in their mediocrity. Yet, this energy is the ultimate blessing for the king who is worthy of standing beside you. You are the woman who brings her partner good and not harm all the days of her life. You are a powerhouse of discernment, knowing when to speak with the law of kindness on her tongue and when to remain in the powerful silence of the Sigma. You teach the world that a woman can be both a fierce protector of her empire and a gentle nurturer of her home. You prove that Proverbs 31 isn't an outdated list of chores, but a high-vibration state of being where a woman is so connected to her source that she becomes a fountain of life for everyone around her. The world hates on you because you represent a version of womanhood that is truly free, free from the need for external validation, free from the fear of the future, and free from the chains of bare minimum living. This is the final lesson in divine womanhood, that when you are built by the Creator, you don't need to compete with the world. You simply outshine it by being exactly who He made you to be. As we reach the end of this journey today, take a moment to look at the sky and realize that your story is written in the stars by the Creator Himself. If you are being hated on today, if you feel the weight of 1,000 whispers trying to pull you down, or if you feel isolated in a world that seems to celebrate the shallow over the deep, remember this one eternal truth. They aren't actually hating you. They are hating the light of the source that shines through you. You are a vessel of a frequency that is unfamiliar to those who dwell in the dark. Your Sigma female essence is a spiritual mirror, and when people look at you, they see the parts of themselves they have neglected, the dreams they abandoned, and the integrity they traded for convenience. Their hate is simply the sound of their own internal friction. You were never meant to fit in. You were created to be a teacher of love in a world that has forgotten what real, unconditional, and sovereign love actually looks like. You are the living proof that a woman can be powerful without being loud, independent without being cold, and devoted without being desperate. Wear your crown with pride, even if it is a crown of thorns in a society that doesn't understand your divine armor. You are the perfect wife for the one who is worthy, the man who has done the soul work to meet you at your level, and you will always remain a haunting, beautiful mystery to those who are not. Do not waste your breath trying to explain your light to those who are committed to their own blindness. Your life is a Proverbs 31 testament, a God-given assignment to show that the bare minimum is an insult to the soul. Stay in your light, stay in your power, and never apologize for the space you take up in this world. You are a one-woman army backed by the legions of heaven, and your resilience is the miracle that will eventually lead others to seek their own truth. You are blessed, not broken, because the hand that formed you is the same hand that protects you. The fire that was meant to consume you has only served to purify the gold of your character. If you know in the depths of your spirit that you were created for a higher purpose, if you feel the fearless mentality rising within you to drown out the noise of the critics, I want you to drop a prayer emoji in the comments right now. This is your digital altar, a place where we unite the Sigma community of chosen ones who are ready to lead with love and integrity. Let us stand together as a beacon of light for those who are still searching for their way home. Subscribe to this channel to keep your spirit fueled and your God's armor polished, because the road ahead requires a heart that is fully awake. You are a daughter of the Most High, a queen of your own realm, and a lighthouse for the lost. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Stay fearless, stay sovereign, and always remember that your value is fixed by the divine, not the world. Thanks for watching.